And we're back for another short. Jamie, how you doing?
In the same clothes as the last one. So however people take that, it's either we've just been so busy that we've not left, or we've got so busy that we've had to record them back to back. Because so we won't reveal that. That'll be a mystery to people. Will they be able to see a deviation in their appearance to go, Jesus, they haven't changed clothes in 2 weeks, or that they are immaculately the same? But yeah, I'm good. Yourself?
Yeah, not too bad. I'm all right. Pumpkin. It's supposed to be pumpkin carving in a tick. We'll see how that goes.
I'm left-handed, so that's a real problem for me. Pumpkin
I'm
carving.
I'm a lefty as well, so it could be problematic.
We need Ned Flanders' left-hand auditorium sort.
We do. I'll try and put that into the edit. So we're going to be talking about the journey of computer games.
Yeah,
and consoles.
Yeah, this one is just because it's not a headline in tech right now. There's loads of things always about gaming, obviously, and like loads of people talk about when the next game, Grand Theft Auto, is coming out. But it's just a fun episode in the sense it's something that we both love and can sort of take a bit of a memory trip, hopefully, for some of our listeners, and a bit of nostalgia for them. So, sort of first area I thought we would nicely cover on this one was, what was your first game / console that you owned?
I think we had a Amstrad.
Say that.
Because I remember as a kid coming home, pressing play. So I used to do on cassettes, right?
Cartridges.
Pardon?
Cartridges.
Well, this was cassette, right? So you press play, go and have dinner, come back, and you needed to press space bar, and you've lost like half an hour because you haven't hit
space bar. Oh my god, I remember that.
To hit space bar. But this was before cartridges, right?
Yes.
This was cassettes, yeah. So you
so for younger listeners, this is like from switching, I'd say, from CDs, because there will be people that to then just going to just pure digital Spotify. That was like what that was in them sort of time frames, I imagine, or going from video cassette to DVD. For other listeners as well, we're covering a wide age group here. I hope.
Mine was the cassette, so you press play, and then we had two technology things. We had a 386, I remember that, which was the processor type on Windows 95 for like home computing. And then we had some friends have a Sega Mega Drive that we kind of shared as a group and played, which was like Streets of Rage. Do you remember?
Yes, that? Sensible Soccer. There you go.
Sensible Soccer. And then Game Boys. Both me and my brother had Game Boys.
Nice.
Yeah, so Tetris.
Oh God.
What else?
I think that's why our generation's more anxious. Actually, if people have been looking for it, it's Tetris.
It's Tetris. Yeah.
It's called.
I watched the film. Apparently, it's very good.
It's on Apple. Yeah, it's got Taron Egerton in it. I hope I said his surname right. Good actor. So I want to watch it. Trying to convince the wife, but Tetris as a synopsis is a hard sell. It's a hard sell. Mine was NES, and I will remember 3 specific games. Duck Hunt. Yes, we had to be very careful. And you had this red gun that had like a silver strip on it, and you'd be like firing it like proper arcade style. Then there was Super Mario, of course.
Yeah.
In its infancy, and a legendary called World Cup Soccer. And in this game, if you Google it, there's people who've managed to track it down, put footage to it. You can just foul people. You'd kick them, and then you'd have this special thing where you jump up in the end, the ball would go atomic and go through the net, and all.
I remember.
Big eyes, phenomenal. And then I sort of evolved into obviously a Super Nintendo, which is International Superstar Soccer Deluxe.
ISS 64.
Yeah, which became Pro Evolution. See, I can go through this, which people don't always remember the sort of lineage became Pro Evolution. Correct. Of course, which was then the battle between FIFA and Pro Evolution was the main one for a long time, which again, people who just do the big yearly thing of FIFA's dropping will be shocked to hear that FIFA for a while was not the main,
and what you could do was there was a group of people that would happily sit and go and create all, because Pro Evolution Soccer didn't have the rights for the
license. Yes,
didn't have the license for the names of the players or the scripts, but someone would a group of people online would write everything out for it and create a file that you could upload and put it in your saved file, and it would load. So Pro Evolution Soccer would play because the gameplay was better than FIFA, and then suddenly it had all the names.
Yeah, it was. You'd have Shearer would be Shara or something stupid like that, but you'd recognise it because they'd make them very distinct. So like Baggio, again, some of our older listeners will know that, would have the ponytail, so you'd know that's Baggio even if the name wasn't Baggio, and they'd make it very clear. And then kind of in first games, because it links to the PC, was Championship Manager, which again, lineage of that. It then became Football Manager, which is now huge, but Championship Manager was the big one. I played the 91-92 game, and this was floppy disk, Darren. So you put a floppy disk in, and then you'd also, to get into the game, you'd have to then like do a password and say what is the third word on the third paragraph on page 10, and you'd have to type that's mind-blowing, just to play your game. And then if you didn't, you'd get locked out, and then you'd have to sometimes change discs to then do something like further on if you're doing the mental thing about that disk swapping, floppy disk.
Bizarre.
And then Wolfenstein, and I wanted to get that one in because anyone who's played third-person shoot 'em ups, or even Grand Theft Auto in a sense, the birth of that, Doom, Quake, GoldenEye, Resident Evil, all them type of games hark back to Wolfenstein. That was like the one that started that whole sort of like shoot 'em up.
How square was everyone in? I look back and everyone was very square, but GoldenEye on the 64.
Oh my!
But I look back and that was like,
I remember thinking it's like groundbreaking. I remember thinking like, I'm gonna get my brother and go, oh my god, like GoldenEye, they look like the actors.
And you could zoom in when you had a sniper. And I was like, look, you zoom in and it zooms in like as if someone had just shown me fire for the first time. And
it had cutaway scenes. Cutaway scenes. People think that's just like that makes the game now. Like, no, that was like a big thing back then. I have so many things like this. I said to you before we recorded, I could go hours on this. I've got a geek side to this.
But I've got to the point where I don't have time to play.
I find time.
And then when I do play, it's against my son, and he batters the shit out of me.
I'm proud I haven't got to that stage. I've got a very quick, funny story. So me and my brother went round about 6 years, maybe 7 years ago for FIFA. And we went round to my brother's best man's house, and his son and my brother's best man, Alan. I'm going to mention Alan and his brother Stephen. Their kids had got FIFA on the PlayStation for Christmas. And they've been beating everyone, and they've been getting quite cocky about it. Me and my brother, we're Arsenal because we're Arsenal fans. They're Real Madrid, and they're like proper giving it that. It gets to 10-0, we're winning. We're thrashing them on Christmas Day on their Christmas present, and they're beginning to like go, we're going to turn it off. But to Alan and Stephen's credit, they're like, no, you're going to learn a lesson here. So they go, no, you can't quit, and they got absolutely battered. So I haven't got to that stage, but when Heath or Nova grow up, it might happen. I'm aware of that, but my guilty pleasure game at the moment, and this is I always give little things for people because if they can get time, because you can sneak little things in. International cricket captain on your phone.
Oh, is it good?
Oh my god, I'm in the year 2158 with Sussex. So Jamie Dennis is somehow, in my mind, this is the sheer nerd of me, I've created this lineage where Jamie Dennis, who started the game in 2023, was the original like general manager of Sussex, and he's passed it down to generations of the Dennis family. And I've now, literally this morning, have joined New South Wales in Australia. So then the Dennis lineage has left Sussex and gone further afield.
The world has changed. Like, we're supposed to cover where we think games are going next. One thing I have noticed, especially with my children, all three of them actually, is that firstly, there's nothing physically to buy. So my 5-year-old got a Mario game for his Switch. And it was just a code. So you go into the Nintendo eShop, punch the code in, it auto downloads and installs. And I'm like, whoa.
But they need to learn. They need to learn, because you reference this, so I'm giving you that credit. They need to learn the pain of the blowing of the cartridge. It's not working. Or the scratch CD. Get a cleaner. Blow. Bang the TV. Change the aerial.
None of that. You just type your code in and it downloads, and like, and even then they get annoyed that it's not downloaded. Like the 1.5 gig game, and that's the other. So two things I want to comment on currently, which is absolutely nuts, is the first one is the business model for the game creators now. So if I look at Fortnite and a couple of the others, they give the game away for nothing. So it's a pay to progress concept.
Makes it more addictive in a way. It does. It really does. Because think about anyone who does Candy Crush and stuff like that, how you can see people get serious on that.
Pay to progress.
But the other thing I think, because we should touch on the word here, I think some of it's going to be within the world of cinema. Because look how many now, the historic sort of feeling around adapting video games to film hasn't been good. Super Mario Brothers, Bob Hoskins, my God, how to ruin it. Because it's the thing that I think films have always struggled is they go, oh, we've got to make it more film-like. Like some of the stories are actually amazing. And some of them, you don't need to change. Like Resident Evil, it's a zombie. People are not going to expect it to be realistic in a sense of, it needs to like have some sort of real depth. No, it's just a zombie. But The Last of Us and things like that are now starting to break that convention.
The crossover, they're able to do it.
Yeah. And I wouldn't be shocked if you start to see like how, sounds weird, but like we talk about Apple Vision Pro, but if you play a game, you're in an immersive experience, and it becomes almost like when you make your own story, and then that's your sort of weight of weekly episode TV. Like you go in and it changes, and it becomes a bit. There's that TV show, isn't there? I'm gonna forget. It's got Ed Harris in it, and it's about Westworld when they go into like theme park where it's robots and stuff. I think that is where maybe some of it will go. Long time yet, but yeah. I've got a question for you though. What is considered the first game?
The first game,
computer game.
We covered this. I thought it was Pong initially.
Yes. See, I knew it wasn't. So Pong wasn't even Atari's first game. I knew that. So 1971 or 2, Pong comes out. The owner of Atari, which I respect, if you do your research, he actually kept openly saying this isn't the first game. I've already made a game. There was a game called Space War in 1962, which was at MIT. And I knew of this. And then what was interesting, it wasn't a commercial game. It was meant to do for testing for scientific purposes, but it became really popular and it became kind of like a game in itself, a competition. But it wasn't actually released. And because, again, media changes, the reason why Pong is in the 80s, there's more sort of outsourced and wider reaching media. And people think, what, newspaper? But back then, that was a big leap and stuff of how wider reaching they could get. And then the actual first one, which I don't know much about, though, is just on research. It's called Tennis for Two in 1958, which is mental. We think the 70s is a big moment for gaming, but 58, wow. So yeah,
it's crazy. Do you remember Brick Breaker?
Yeah.
Space Invaders.
Invaders. There's so many, honestly, mate. James Pond, which is like
James
a fifth version. Earthworm Jim, Cool Spot. I can just throw out honestly for hours on this one. It's like films for me. It's one of the things. But the big question to sort of nearly finish up for you now is, I'll give you three. Because it's too hard. We said favourite. I know put games, but your favourite games in no particular order, because I think it's very hard because it comes into your mood, don't it?
For me, GoldenEye was massive. It was a game changer in the first-person shooter, like storytelling. And I even watched the film. Like sometimes it will be on a ITV or a UK channel, and I can reference the game as quick as the film. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I think that's one.
Sorry to interject. Do you know it's on the Switch now? You do know you can get it on the Switch.
And my son thinks the graphics are shit. Obviously, and I think the The second one for me is probably Streets of Rage. It was the first time I remember, you could call the police, it was the first time.
Your main motive in a game to call the police.
Call the police, right? And it was the first time I completed a game with a friend, but also you couldn't save on the Mega Drive. You couldn't save anything, so
no memory card.
Switch the telly off, right, and then hope your mum wouldn't turn the power off the Mega Drive, so you didn't lose your progress, which is absolutely mental. But I think the big one for me was Championship Manager. The addiction and the teenage years of and we referenced it on me building PCs at one time as it iterated. But the depth of that game and the database and the information, the appreciation I have now for that, to be able to then loop that for as long as possible. Play a football game where you had stats and stuff must have taken my appreciation for the developers.
It's mental. And when you think back, because people think about Football Manager now, it's huge, right? It's huge. And people know it is well known about how well they are at scouting. Like some of their scouts, like clubs generally do get in touch with their scouts to go, have you got any sort of players? But I remember one sort of early 2000s, Javier Saviola at River Plate. And he went on to Barcelona. He didn't quite achieve what they thought, but that was one of the first times where they openly said this is going to be a big player, and that feeds into it. Like that, think back in that network of scouting, then you plug it into a game, and then like you say about the stats, but the ability to go 60. I had a game that was 60 seasons in with Roma.
To be able to build something that allows you to play expansively. So, what's your top 3 games?
So first one is Championship.
Oh, that one's meant to be awesome.
Completed it.
Only came out last week.
Completed it.
What about this?
Championship Manager. Completed it, mate.
You can't complete it.
Yeah, I know, but I got so good at it that the FA offered me a role in the England setup.
Did they?
I took Woking from the conference to the Champions League in 6 seasons. Stuff like that doesn't go unnoticed, Neil.
Manager, and I can't separate Football Manager because I think Football Manager's gone to a different level and it's different in a lot of ways, but you've got to keep it in that timeline, because if you were, I think, fortunate, I do say it's fortunate, because it's great kids still play it now, but if you went from 91 to 92, you just saw, like I can tell you now, goalkeepers in 91, 92 were only marked by their influence. So if they're 20, phenomenal goal, that was it. They just had influence as a block. So you look at that involvement over the period of time. So that's, again, I won't go too deep because my passion for that game is ridiculous. But the game I had with Roma, which was 60 seasons in, Tossi as an AMFC, and you had Montella and Batshooter, who were a bit older. Oh, what a team. And then I'd say second game, this one I've really debated about because there's just so many, but it has to be Pro Evolution.
Pro Evolution Soccer.
FIFA is phenomenal, realistic, but there was something about a period, and it was a golden period of 2-3 years of where on Pro Evolution, when you played your mates, there's so many people who have Pro Evolution tournaments. And it's the thing that what I loved about it was you can be from so many different cultures. And I remember working at Vauxhall Recreation Club, another little shout out for a local venue. It's now Venue 360, great little venue actually, really great for sports for kids. But I remember I was a Vauxhall Recce and I had a totally different background to some of the other Recce's, totally different outlook on life. But what united us was a Pro Evolution tournament, just phenomenal game. And and then when you started a Pro Evolution club game on yourself, and you had Castillo, the striker, Jama, the defender. I can name the players. Honestly, that's how much.
I just had to Google who developed it. It was Konami.
Yeah, Konami.
They refused to pay the rights for the players' names and the teams' names. Whereas EA Sports and FIFA would. Yeah. But gameplay wise, it was deemed the best. I'm reading the best.
Honestly, I just even have great memories. Like genuinely, like when you then got the legends unlocked and you can play with Maradona, Cruyff and stuff like that. Yeah. And I just remember like some of the memories, like one of the best ones was my brother used to always beat me at games, always used to beat me. And I never forget scoring with Lillian Thuram for about 35 yards, top corner, And I genuinely hit it, and I just shouted Lillian in the most high-pitched voice, Lillian, like that. And it went in. And honestly, the affinity I've got for that game, just because the memories alone.
So what was the last?
This one, it would change on the day. It really would change on a daily basis. I've referenced international cricket captain, and that's been a staple for 20 years. But for addictiveness, was WrestleMania 2000 and N64. The N64 was the first time I had my own console. My older siblings had my sister had a Game Boy. My brother had a Super Nintendo. Like, do you know what I mean? It's the one that I wanted, and people go, "Why do you want to get in the 64? PlayStation 1's better." And I was like, "I know, but there's something about the N64. I just want to be different." Now Zelda, I'll reference that because people.
Zelda, great game, great series, right?
Gold cartridge, yep. But no, WrestleMania 2000, because there've been previous wrestling games where you could sort of create your own character and have a bit of story, but this is the one where it's a really deep story mode. You'd wrestle and you build your way up. You'd have people come out and interrupt your match, and then that'd be your rival. And then you'd have like different types of matches, cage matches, but then also you'd end up on the pay-per-view. So I remember as a child, like No Mercy, Royal Rumble, and you'd then be involved in it, and then you get the title and you'd have interviews and stuff like that. And again, you think like now, people think that's just a given for them type of games. That 23 years ago was like a defining moment. Yeah. And that one closely followed by Brian Lara cricket, which the amount of people I know who are not cricket fans who are going Brian Lara cricket. And I'm not joking, I bought 4 years ago, I've still got it up in the loft, a PlayStation 1, Brian Lara cricket. Found it on PlayStation 1. And
see, those games are like things like, Wii Golf, drunkenly playing Wii Golf.
Oh, what a game. Yeah. The Wii, I always still think to this day, Nintendo missed a trick on the Wii. They had such a great model, and what I think they did was they made it family, but they then didn't do the right thing to differentiate between their audience. All the games, like the characters, were very much, we need to try and be family. It's like if you made a more adult one, you would have hammered it for like Drunken Nights, like really good and stuff. But this has been my favourite episode. Sorry to the guests, by the way. This has been my favourite.
Content.
Yeah, I kind of want to shun my family for the afternoon now. And go play
All we have
games.
to do is ask everyone to comment either on LinkedIn or YouTube their favourite game and why. Yes. There's going to be one that someone will say about, how did I forget that? Mario Kart. Mario Kart. We still play Mario Kart. One of the favourite things that my kids like to do is get popcorn, get one of the switches.
I love that.
Downstairs, we plug a switch in and we play Mario Kart, a split screen, and there's still fights. I've got an almost 13-year-old and a 5-year-old. They still argue.
I was going to say it's bar a football game. It's one of the games I think that causes the most argument because of the frustration of you're first the whole fucking race, and then some arsehole gets a blue shell and then goes and then lightning bolts you, and then they win, and you're like, It's also shout out. It's also an international game. So we have extended family who are Spanish. They visited. Oh, nice.
Busted it out, Mario Kart, and of course you don't need to be able to speak Spanish to be able to play Mario Kart, right?
Or to be pissed off by a red shell.
Or to be pissed off by a red and blue shell.
The one that annoys me the most. It's the one that annoys me most because everyone thinks it's a weak weapon. Is the banana, the unsuspecting fucking banana that you avoid for 5 fucking laps, and then the last lap you deviate into it, and then there's a moment, and I swear the game knows it, where it's like you don't slip. You think, I've not slipped. I was going too fast, and then you just suddenly spin, and you're like, you fucker.
Yeah,
fucker.
Go.
This has been fantastic, Darren. What a way to end across a week recording. For those who can't guess whether or not we're just in the same clothing or not.
Same clothes. Just so it happens that I wear the same jumper on the same day every week.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, have a great rest of the day, and we'll catch you on the next short.
Yeah, enjoy your weekend. Take care, mate.
Cheers.